Good day, it's Michelle Green, and it is September 17th, and it's 4:15 p.m. I wanted to discuss my meeting with Detective Gay from the Washington, D.C. Metropolitan Police Department. The subject matter reads, mishandling of MPD sexual assault and other crimes. And just to note, I've copied Chief Robert Conti, Mayor Muriel Bowser, Attorney General Merrick Garland, Department of Justice Matthew Graves, and FBI Director Christopher Wray. The letter reads, and I'm only doing a small portion of it, and then I will just give an overall synopsis. And it states, thank you for taking time to meet with me Thursday, August 25th at 10 a.m., which we met outside of the headquarters of MPD as I requested to sit across the street from headquarters. I do have low expectations of your investigation for reasons noted in this letter, which I have taken the liberty to outline in this correspondence. And being frank, I stated the time was a waste for both you and I. From my perspective, it is atrocious that it took 7 years for a sexual assault investigation and now to experience the inept handling of myself for this sensitive and dehumanizing situation is beyond pitiful and disgraceful. That being stated, I am addressing our discussion and the handling of the interview with pertinent information not being probed and or discussed. And again, I am requesting a recorded copy of our conversation made on your cell phone since there was no formal handling of the recording with no oath. I want it noted that I started out the conversation that I wanted to record our discussion. However, you advised that I could not record the conversation, but only you could record the conversation, which I was apprehensive, but I decided to proceed in order for an investigation that was never documented and investigated over years to finally be investigated. That being stated, I had a lot of issues with our interview. Number one, I opened in telling her that, as I've done throughout my videos to you, that my harassment, my hate crime, sexual assault, all crimes against me have been done by Victor Adelzian, who's financing it, along with his military comrades, and the police falsifying police reports. I shared this with her. I shared with her that I've had DA investigators, police officers, veterans, citizens, NSA employee, and a Homeland Security employee advised that I am being harassed by the individuals that I've mentioned. And I shared with her also that they stated normally this type of harassment, covert harassment or covert crimes are organized. And they shared with me that normally they last a year or two, but mine have gone on for a couple years. Detective Gay's comment to me was, well, it's almost over. Not wanting to probe to find out the specifics as to what's going on and how it's related to my sexual assault, but quote unquote, it's almost over. That being stated, from my perspective, that set the trend for our meeting. Detective Gay went on and wanted to find out who were the individuals who could confirm this. She wanted specific names, she wanted where they worked, and she wanted their phone numbers. I started giving this to her, the specifics, and then I kind of pulled back because I said this has nothing to do with my assault, or they have nothing to do with that. And she was already clear in stating that she has nothing to do with cybercrime issues, which is also part of my assault in reference to gaining access to my house. She went ahead, she took the names. And then after that, she went ahead and wanted to do the interview after she got the names and all the information that she wanted that was unrelated to the sexual assault from my perspective anyway, because I'm going to share with you what she didn't ask me, which I felt she should have. At that point, she asked my name. She said she was going to turn on the recording. She asked my name, and then she proceeded. She didn't ask a lot of questions at all, which was alarming to me, along with the statements prior to the recording. She didn't ask that I had been sent nudes before and that I went to the police department and tried to do a police report. They refused to do one. The officer there laughed and said it might be my boyfriend. However, years later, I found out that a report was actually done. She didn't want to find out anything about pornographic emails that were being sent to me, that I was in a membership, and somehow photos were going out that I had no idea about, nor had I ever sent any out. She didn't probe about when I told her that there were possibly cameras in my home by a neighbor called Karen, who approached me about a neighbor being watched. And I had no idea at the time that that person she was giggling and referring to was actually me. She never asked me about my neighbor across the street, Robert, who I heard mentioning as to where I was going next and possibly also in these crimes involved, and the specifics as to why I actually knew or assumed or alleged that he and Karen were part of this. She never asked about the harassment and the calls being made and my phone calls having to be switched out on a weekly basis, and that there was someone who I had gotten assistance from on the cybercrime side who had actually validated what was going on with me. She never checked in or never even asked as to my alarm system, how I told the Guardian that it wasn't working when they kept on saying that it was. And the employee that came there requested my code, and he's supposed to have a code that overrides it. How some inappropriate things were done and how I was being heard through my intercom. She never probed that. She never probed how they got in. She never probed how I contacted Washington, D.C. Police Department, 5th District, letting them know that someone called in while I had moved out of my home because of the harassment and the break-ins, and turned up the alarm, and they gained access to my house. I mean, the list goes on and on. She never asked anything. She never asked the cyber crimes. My phone was tapped before, and police department refused to investigate that. She never asked how I had someone watching my home, hired just as a house sitter, who told me I needed to get a gun, who was apparently aware of what was going on. My electrician, she never asked about him coming to me and telling me that a lot of people were involved in the crimes after he spoke with my neighbor, Robert, who I'm assuming tried to get him in on the crimes. She never asked that. She never asked for contact for that. She never asked for my internet access and what was going on there. She never asked anything that, from my perspective, would be pertinent to a sexual assault. So I don't have high expectations as to what the police department is going to do. I just want to know, from a black woman to another black woman, we all know, look at George Floyd, Mr. George Floyd. You go for help, especially as a black female, you don't get it. I, for years prior to you sitting down with me, have literally, and it is documented by phone calls, repeated, and also emails and letters sent out from the mayor on down regarding these assaults, and nothing has ever been done. And the police department, the last time I spoke with them, they told me nothing will be done, quote unquote. How does someone sit down face to face and want to state that they're worried about investigating, but they don't ask the pertinent questions? They're worried about me, but they don't ask the pertinent questions. They don't ask what is needed, but are more concerned with who has evidence and can point out as to what's been going on with me. And I'm supposed to be an idiot and sit here and think that there's nothing wrong with that at all. Since our meeting, I haven't heard one peep from you. And I waited for a bit before our sending out this letter. We met on Thursday, August 25th. This letter was sent out to you on September 11th. But not only in that, what I did was I sent out a 3 pages of documentation providing you other information, evidence, as to what's a history of what's been going on with me and the specifics as to who's involved and who can confirm information. I just want to know, number one, I wanted to meet with the Chief Conte. After 7 years, which is a disgrace, I have a right to meet with Chief Robert Conte. But for some reason, I'm not allowed to, and I can't understand why. From my perspective, that's the least that can be done. The other is, why are my investigations so unorthodox and beyond protocol? And I shouldn't say beyond protocol. I should say not following protocol or breaking protocol. It's bad enough that most of my crimes have not been investigated. They've been falsified. And then I have a plethora presently of crimes that need to be documented, and some of them are serious federal crimes. I'm still contacting Chief Conte's office, and Commander Rivera has advised me that someone will be in contact with me. I've been waiting for a couple weeks, over 2 weeks now, and still that person has not reached out. And from my understanding, it's advantageous that when a crime occurs, that you need a timeline in reference to reaching out to gathering evidence or any type of other information. So I guess they're waiting for the videos that I have reached out to various companies for, waiting for those to be erased before they come to me, so there's nothing, because I'm now having that challenge. I've taken the liberty and I've gone ahead and sent out preservation letters to companies that I know have documentation, yet they're advised me that police need to be involved. So my question to Chief Robert Conte, Chief Rivera, and Detective Tanya Gay, when are you guys going to get involved? After the recordings and the evidence have been deleted, or are you going to do that in real time? Because it's August 25th, but prior to that, I have been reaching out to the police and been advised by the chief, the top of the top, telling me your documentation will be taken and investigations will occur. I'm not trying to wait 7 years later, and there's no reason that I should have to. So please let me know. Thank you.